Hey everyone, welcome to DB's Custom Carpentry class. Expert Carpenter, graduate of the 2024 Carpenters Academy. Where'd you get your carpenter's degree? Winner! The first person who can name all those tools starting in the upper left-hand corner, get a box of white finishing nails. Today's lesson's going to be about screws and nails, and how to screw and nail. Okay, here's a proper way to screw and nail. Just go ahead and pop that off there because you don't need it. And never do that. You'll never get the screw out. Here we go. Here we go. Now we're back into there. Perfect technique. Never, ever, ever do it this way because you'll never get that screw out of there. Congratulations, you're now an expert carpenter. Welcome to the family. A carpenter who doesn't know the difference between a screw and a nail is like a police officer who doesn't know the ID laws or how to make a lawful detention. The difference is police officers have the authority to ruin lives. Nothing will change until people learn the law. Nothing will change until people know their rights. Nothing will change. Not on the civilian side anyway, but law enforcement's going to continue to change. And I'm not suggesting that's in a good way. They're only going to become more oppressive. What I'm seeing is that each successive generation of Americans know less and less. I don't want anybody to argue with me because you're never going to change my mind. I mean, they do these on the street interviews. What's 3 times 3 times 3? 36? How many moons does the earth have? 12? This ignorance is self-inflicted, and it's like a bunch of cows going to slaughter. They don't even know it. For every American who doesn't know the law, doesn't know their rights, well, they're capitulating to law enforcement. Then they turn around and they demand that we capitulate to law enforcement. Well, why not just give up your ID? I give up my ID. You know what? Fine, give up your ID. Screw yourself out of your Fourth Amendment rights, but don't expect me to do the same thing. 3 things before we get into the full video, and that is Trey Citizen, who filmed this, it's like 7 years ago, he didn't know the law. He's the one who, is that a felony or a misdemeanor? He said it 4 times and he was shot down all 4 times. That doesn't work, and I've said that repeatedly. He didn't know how to counter the BS that he was hearing from these officers. And that brings me to the other 2 points before we watch the video. When officers show up at any kind of call, they're probably going to make an unlawful detention and then they're going to go after ID. I mean, that's right out of the stupid cop playbook. But are they stupid? Maybe they don't know the law and they just bully their way through. But what about the officers who actually know the law but are lying to people that you have to do this? The law says you have to give me your ID. Of course it works. It's basically bulletproof or foolproof. People have to know at least 2 things: when they have to give up ID or when they don't have to give up ID. And the second one is easy. They have to stop granting consent. These are just random government workers. Yeah, they have specific authority or duties, whatever. But it's easy to say no. Don't be intimidated by these people. Don't do it. Stop granting consent. Let me ask you guys, as we get into the video, do you think these cops are really stupid, don't know the law, but they're able to BS their way through? Or do you think they knew the law, but because Trey didn't, they were able to BS their way through? I'd guess it's probably a combination of the 2. I've been asked, what is it, Dave? Is it they don't know the law, or they know the law and they're just lying to people? And I said the majority of the time, in my opinion, is they don't know the law and they just bully their way through. On the other hand, if they know the law but they lie to people and start acting outside the scope of their lawful authority, well, they're knowingly placing themselves, their career, and their livelihood in jeopardy. And I'm not so sure that most of them are going to do that. What I'd like you guys to do as we get into the video, put yourself in Trey's shoes. What would you have done? What would you have said? What is your knowledge of the law? Do you know your rights? And if you don't, or you don't feel comfortable, or you believe that you need to know more, get my books, Rise of the Oathbreakers and Rise of the Oathbreakers Part 2. You will know your rights, know the law, and you will know a hell of a lot more than the average police officer. And you have my word on that.
What's What's your name and badge number?
I'm Corporal Shroud at the Greer Police Department. How are you?
I'm alright.
Okay. Is there any reason why you're videotaping? I'm just curious. You're not in any trouble. There's nothing here other than we got called and told that you were walking around the parking lot. So, any particular reason for it? No, you're not going to answer. So we're just going to have a stare off because I'm recording you and you're recording me. Is that what we're going to do? Do you have your ID on you?
Have I done anything wrong?
Well, you're recording a suspicious activity, which puts this into a category of suspicious activity. This means under Terry versus Ohio, I can detain you until I can determine or deny that there's
Terry v. Ohio says suspicious activity is not enough for reasonable cause for ID.
There's already a call on it, so yes.
So suspicious activity, is that a felony or misdemeanor?
That's a misdemeanor.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
And I can't believe you just sat here and lied.
Yep. Go ahead and give me your ID.
Can you call your supervisor to the scene?
I am a supervisor.
I need another one.
Okay.
I need a lieutenant or somebody else.
Okay.
Actually, I'll go and do this type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I'm just curious. Hey. Criminal activity, there's nothing to worry about.
So why are you asking for my ID then?
Because you're not answering me, and when you're not answering me, how do I know you're not filming this parking lot to come shoot it up?
It's called the Fifth Amendment, right?
So I can check on that if it's suspicious, and the part of that checking is to identify you. So if I can get
it's suspicious, a felony or misdemeanor.
Hey, sir. Again.
Name, badge number?
Sergeant Forrester, 301.
All right, how you doing?
Good. How can I help you?
Well, he contacted me. He wanted my ID for no reason, so I need a supervisor to let him know that, without any crime being committed, I don't have to present my ID.
Well, he actually got a call on you.
Well, what crime have I committed?
Well, anytime somebody calls in and reports suspicious activity,
it's suspicious of felony or misdemeanor.
It's neither one, but he asked.
Oh, okay, thank you. So he said it was a misdemeanor. So now we have a conflict on which one it is.
We don't have a conflict at all. We have a conflict with
hold on,
you're acting,
whoa.
Taping on the parking lot in today's day and age, that's fine.
Whoa.
That's fine. You ain't got to whoa nothing.
Whoa. What's your name and badge number?
My badge number is 201. It's Lieutenant Holcomb.
Whoa.
Holcombe. Now.
Whoa.
Let me have an ID.
This is the intimidation factor right here.
Have an ID, please.
What crime have I committed? What crime have I committed?
An ID.
What crime have I committed?
You're gonna be failure to listen to a law enforcement officer ask you for an ID.
What crime have I committed?
An ID?
What crime have I committed?
Have you got an ID?
What crime have I committed?
Videotaping our parking lot and walking around the police.
Is that a crime?
Yes, sir. Right now, in the day and age that we're dealing with, yes, sir. It is a crime.
What crime have I committed today?
Anytime there's a suspicious person.
Is that a felony or a misdemeanor?
It's a. Let me see.
Whoa,
ID.
whoa.
You got the count of three, or you're going to jail.
Now you gotta see. I got one hand on the camera.
One.
Whoa.
Two.
Don't show
three.
me.
You're under arrest.
Whoa.
They threw out Terry v. Ohio and suspicion, and I can do this. No. Under Terry v. Ohio, the court made it clear that you cannot detain based upon hunches, gut feelings, mere suspicion. You see, there it is, mere suspicion, or to conduct fishing expeditions. And you can't get ID unless you're able to articulate facts and circumstances. Facts and circumstances that would lead a reasonable person to believe that a particular person has committed, is committing, or is about to commit a specific crime. They have to articulate facts and circumstances. What facts and what circumstances? We got a call. It's not reasonable suspicion of a call. It's reasonable, articulable suspicion of a specific crime. And that's Terry v. Ohio, but another one that's applicable is Brown v. Texas. And it basically said that no, officers can't demand ID under threat of arrest or your address when there's no articulable suspicion of a specific crime. There was none in the Brown v. Texas case. In fact, that's the case that prompted Texas to change their law where a person doesn't have to identify themselves to police unless and until they've been lawfully arrested. Lawfully arrested, which means the officers have to have probable cause to make an arrest to get your ID in the state of Texas. Before Terry came along and gave us reasonable suspicion, the standard to detain and demand ID, which would have led to an arrest, was probable cause. You know, the term that's actually in the Fourth Amendment. Reasonable suspicion isn't. And what about pat-downs? You know, the cursory feel on the outside of clothing. They can't do it as a matter of routine. I mean, the court talked about how private and how invasive it is when one person goes hands-on to another person. In order to do a lawful pat-down, the officers have to articulate reasonable suspicion of a specific crime and reasonable suspicion to believe the person is armed and dangerous. This gray-haired fat body, Lieutenant Holcomb, I make a project out of him in the first Rise of the Oathbreakers. It was fun. In fact, I mailed him a copy of Rise of the Oathbreakers, the first book. You know, the one that showcases this gray-haired fat body who made the unlawful arrest. And lastly, what happened here was that the officers had reasonable, articulable suspicion, but not of a crime. No, it was raz of something they didn't like, or raz of something they didn't understand. They didn't like what Trey Citizen was doing, even though he wasn't breaking the law. Police all over the country, it is now reasonable, articulable suspicion of something they don't like or don't understand. Reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime is apparently no longer in vogue. So remember, a call is not crime. A call is not crime. It's only a call. So, just like the carpenter who doesn't know the difference between a screw and a nail, law enforcement in this country, generally speaking, they don't know Law Enforcement 101. They don't know how to make a lawful detention. They don't know the essential elements of a Terry stop. And they don't know what the ID requirements are. Lieutenant Holcomb, you're a coward. And so are a lot of the other officers in the Greer, South Carolina Police Department. Oh, I'm sure you do good police work from time to time, but this wasn't it. Come on, guys. You can do better than this.